I'm not necessarily the person that I want to be running these meetings every time. So, if we find somebody that has the organizational skills, it's not that I'm not a people person, but I have a hard time talking in front of people. And I hate being the center of attention, quite frankly, but in any case, here we are. I set the meeting up because obviously there is that whole piece in our town comprehensive plan that says that we are reaching the end of our useful life. That to me is probably one of the harshest things I've had to read regarding my home. And I'm sure that you all can concur that that is just a harsh way of saying that we are run down and we are just not fresh anymore in their community. And it's kind of it was a kick in the teeth to us. And I think that we have to find a way, and here's kind of my vision, and it's going to change as we figure out what we're doing here. But my vision is to find a way to improve the morale in the park, the pride that we take in our neighborhoods, and the general care that people should have with a home that they appreciate and that they want to live in and they want to stay in.
Communication between management and us really sucks.
I don't actually, and I'm gonna say this, I don't really want to make this about Solomon right now.
It's not about Solomon, but they screwed a lot of people out of getting those grants.
We'll get to that. That's actually later on, and I promise you we'll get to that. So you're 100% correct. But I don't really want to make this about Solomon because I think that we all know that we could sit here and complain about Solomon until the cows came home, and there are no cows that we own. So I wish we owned chickens. No, the eggs, man. But in any case, it's not going to help us in our situation because they are basically going to let us be. They're going to let us flounder until this becomes a bigger issue than it already is. And obviously, if the town is mentioning it, it's an issue.
What I heard from the town, and even though they want to change the wording, I'm going to stick with Heather on this. You said it, I heard it, it's how you feel.
Right,
Period.
that
Yeah,
you
but
meant what you
period.
said. You
He
just
meant
said
what
we were
they
gonna
said.
catch it
The
and know
thing
what
is,
the hell you were getting at.
The way
They
it
may
was,
not have meant it exactly the way it was worded, but they look down their nose on us and don't pretend they
I'm
don't.
not gonna pretend that they don't. I think the whole town looks down their nose at us, quite frankly, and I'm not gonna pretend that they don't. But what I am gonna say is not everybody who was sitting up in front of us, was elected at that time. And one of the people who commented, which I don't particularly care for, was involved in it, but
The gray haired guy.
the
The
in the
older
article
gentleman?
that I'm talking about.
Oh,
I mean, Cynthia Young, and I don't want to make this political, but she didn't even answer any of our emails when we had our water issue, and she was on the board. And she was sitting in there when they were writing this and didn't think that that was inappropriate to put in print. And it was. And it hurt a lot of us in the fact that, we've done the best we can. And here's the other thing, and we have so many vacant lots and abandoned homes in this place that it is very difficult to drive to your own home, and not see all of these and not see gaping holes in buildings that have been left abandoned for I don't know how long, and windows broken on some of the other ones, and doors kicked open, and abandoned cars in some of these lots. It is an eyesore, and at some point in time, that does affect our mentality as a group.
yes.
You
it does.
start to
Drags you down.
realize that there's nothing that I can do to make my area pretty when I've got an abandoned home across who's living in it and squirrels living in it, and there's nothing that's going to make my yard look nice, at that point. Anybody driving by is going to see that.
I feel like there's gotta be something within the health code.
There is, and this is one of the things that I'd like to do. And first, I'm kind of getting ahead of what I planned here, but in any case, the thing that I'd like to do, and this is also one of my thoughts, and again, this is all open for discussion. Don't ever think that because I say it, it means that that's what I want. I want what's best for all of us. I don't really care what it is, as long as everyone can agree that it's a good plan. But I'd like to get together with a bigger group of people. Obviously, this isn't enough, quite frankly, and I don't know how to make it work, but
Like that 7 viewers and the Facebook.
I would like to get together and try to chunk out the park in areas. I don't know how big, I haven't really come up with that. And make people responsible for a certain area. And by responsible, I don't mean that this becomes a witch hunt, people aren't going to be.
But there's different areas that need different things.
Correct.
So
And
it's easy to separate it.
correct. And really, quite frankly, I've tried to walk the park when we were trying to talk about the legislation. And it is a daunting task to go door to door. It is daunting. Because it's so big and you stop and you have to explain things to somebody and then you have to walk to the next one and walk to the next one. And it's just like hours of that.
What we did
It's
to the first meeting for the,
exactly, it just takes forever and it's like, it's weekends and, by the time you get the park walked, you have already passed the
Do we have a
time.
map of the park?
Yes, I do. Hang on 1 second. We can take this one and pass it around if y'all want to see it.
So we can kind of start figuring out maybe how to.
Well, and I can send,
Not like that.
no, it's not the side of the park I know
No one's.
is our side,
right, but
and
that's,
that's the truth.
and
I
in
mean,
all honesty, and nothing against. And I don't know if this person's listening or not, and I'm not gonna call them out, but somebody on the other side of the park, when we were going around talking about legislation, literally chased us off their property. Because they thought that we were soliciting and, kind of got a little sketchy, they were trying to call the police and. I get it, everybody is afraid of people coming in and doing something that they shouldn't be doing, I get it. But I don't want anyone to be put in any kind of danger, which is the other reason why, if you're in a smaller area near your home, these people are gonna know you. Your neighbors are gonna know you, and if you don't know your neighbors, maybe it's good that we do know our neighbors, Yeah, novel idea, like, let's go back to the 50s.
I know my neighbors on all sides of.
I know my neighbors too. I mean, they're not all
That's a
here
good
and
idea.
obviously across the street is a raccoon, but. But I think that if we can find a way to chunk it out, make it so that it's walkable and it's friendly and we can.
Well, some of the things that need to be addressed, was he decided that the mailboxes were garbage. That's where you can dump your garbage. I have a picture of my mailbox right now that has a broken computer laying in front of it.
Well, I'm not gonna speak of residents, and that I think might be a kid issue.
And therefore, it's still a resident issue because you. should-
Correct, but I'm just saying, that's another thing that we need to address with residents, and it needs to be done tactfully, like.
Kids have a right to play. They have
Exactly,
a right
exactly,
To be in
but-
that park. They
But
have a
if
right to
parents
play on
don't
the
know
tennis court.
where they're at, or what they're doing, or have some idea or some responsibility for them, then that's a problem, and that's when things happen.
I had something happen this weekend. Where I was out, it was either Monday or Tuesday, I was out front and these two little girls on bikes. Wheeled up, parked their bikes right across the street from where you park your cars. Walked up on my porch and nicely asked me, would you like us to rake your lawn?
Aw.
Never once asked me for money yet. Just, could we help you? It's the little girl that lives over in the house on the point. I know who she was. I was like, thank you very much, sweetie, but not today. But when I need help, I'll let you know. Because there you got a kid in the park doing the right thing.
Right,
And those kids should be rewarded.
absolutely,
But in the moment and the time, I didn't.
it's all good, but that's one of the things that we need to kind of consider, there's nothing for these kids to do.
There's nothing.
There's nothing in this town for kids to do, really.
Weathersville just input, I don't remember what the hell it's called, but it's basically a park, and it's a water park for kids, and it's where the water sprays is like out of the ground. and
Splash
stuff.
pad.
A splash pad.
Yeah, there you go, that's it.
They won't do that.
But I'm just saying, there's a million things that we could do, especially if they clean up some of those lots, which I'm sure some of them will want to try to get people.
I
there, but
tried
you're
to
never
get them
gonna
to let us have community garden.
That's what I'm
in
saying,
the
right?
lot that has been empty on my block for I don't know how long, 3 houses
Well,
down,
for at least 6 years.
down from you. Next to Mrs., the other Mrs. Allen.
Well, I mean, we could put it if they get rid of
Okay.
it.
All right,
Little
right
shed.
there. I asked if it was just before COVID hit, that summer before COVID. If I got enough residents to go in with me, could we till that land and make it a community garden? And I was told by Barbara, I believe it was Barbara at the time, I don't know, it wasn't Lori. So it could have been anybody.
Barb started just as COVID hit.
Who was between Barb and Lori?
Nobody, it was one of their upper management people.
I was told no. Because they would have to let them do it everywhere.
Well, that's not necessarily a bad thing since nothing grows
Well,
except
if we
for,
section it off,
fleas
though,
and
there's gonna
ticks.
be spots in those other, it looks like 5. I think 5 would probably do it if we section this off into like maybe 5 areas. Might need 6.
They're never gonna give it to us, but
But-
bluntly, this is what Sarah said afterwards. I can rent that lot and get almost $900 for it. But not if you're not gonna put a pad down.
Right, not if you're gonna do all the things, and no one's gonna wanna move in here, like, if they do any type
well,
of
I
research.
think
about
first things
neighbors.
first is helping people to clean up and figuring out what the needs of the people who haven't been able to clean up are going to be. And maybe it's walking around with like a survey or something where we can find out if there is a need. I mean, without going in and offending anybody, but if there's honestly a need, and maybe they're not on the Facebook page, or maybe they're too proud to ask, but if there's a need that people don't know about, or they don't have the ability to find these things, then maybe we can help them by finding something for them.
Or maybe it's something that we can just do as a community help, maybe they
Well,
just need.
Exactly,
Lawnmowers,
exactly, and there's
trash
church groups that we can probably talk to. I'm sure that there's people who belong to churches. I know Supernauts had said that in the.
Mike
one-
and.
Yeah.
I said, we just correlate a little thing, get all these teenagers to do it, and then we'll write them a thing that they can put. On their hustle transcript about their time donation and their community service, right?
We're allowed to use fields. Doesn't take nothing to bring your grills over there, get some hamburgers and hot dogs.
I definitely want to talk to people about doing something like
You
that.
know, brings up
Getting a
morale.
community
It brings up the
Morale. up.
morale, and then it introduces us all to one another. All
Mm-hmm.
right, so you learn a little bit more about the people that live around you that aren't actually in your little.
So the first step
niche.
is to section it off in groups, and honestly, we could do a little thing for each group. So then everybody can kind of get together, and then we can do a big one where everyone.
And that's kind of what I was thinking, because I think even just getting to know your immediate neighbors is helpful. I mean, you do, and I do, but not everybody.
The only one I don't know is the broad that, well, I know her, but I don't know her. It lives right across the street in the blue house, not you.
Oh, not this one,
Not this broad.
You brought.
Not you, broad.
mine's in the middle of green, I just got a new pressure washer and I just bought the stuff to fix the outside, something have water again finally outside.
Oh, for the hose?
Yes.
It's a nice house. It sits right on the corner. I wanna say her name's Dusty Rhodes, but don't quote me.
Okay,
Yes.
that's somebody in the page.
Her husband's name or boyfriend or whoever he was Bill.
Is Bill not there?
Okay, guys, you are on Zoom. Please.
I'm talking.
So let's not do this. I don't wanna call anybody out. I don't wanna make anybody uncomfortable.
So other thing that I
Very
think is
nice
very
people.
dangerous in the park, which I've seen, and I'm driving my side, and I'm gonna include the loop. On the backside of you, that loop that might win,
Parkside.
that.
Yeah, it's
I'm-
Lakeside, actually. It's weird.
I'm gonna go.
Parkside goes to the corner where Supernauts house is.
I'm gonna go out my driveway, go around and go that way and then around the loop. When it gets dark out, I'm counting all the street lights.
Well, I've
I
been through
have
this,
issues.
I've been
Right,
through this before, and they said that they replaced them all, but they didn't replace them. Or
They just,
they
they're
did.
messed out.
Well, some of them were actually broken, like the one at our corner at Long Meadow and Lakeside, it was broken. And they did replace it, but now it flashes on and off all night long. It's a vapor light, and I get that they go on and off, but you know, half the time it's out, so it's not even really worth it.
We don't have it.
And I even remember when Rocco was here, I don't know how many people have been here.
Yep.
When he was our manager.
And
And
they
I would
go
tell him,
around-
there was only one light on my street that worked, the rest of them were out, actually, a couple of streets all near me, one light out of maybe 15. Well, we've gotta wait until there's a lot of lights out because it costs a lot of money to rent the truck to replace the
And
light bulbs.
unfortunately, he is correct,
It does.
but it's not our problem.
Right.
Big fucking
Or what
stick
about
to
just
solve
coming in the
that.
one entrance by like the pizza place?
Yeah,
There's no light there. You can't see
You
coming
can't
in
see
from
any
the
other
other side.
place
That is
either.
so dangerous.
and I really think that might be
Oh,
a
is it?
town issue or, it's,
Oh, that's right, patio.
yeah. And Nabner actually is town road up until you get to
Until
that
the
little, that little turnaround. And that's a town road up until that point, right at Phil Point, or right past Phil Point. you'll really-
But I remember too, when Solomon bought the place. When I think, oh, we're gonna improve here, we're gonna make a, community room and things for the kids to do, and we're gonna do this improvement and that improvement, and
Nothing.
not one thing.
Okay, and I agree, and that's true, and we're gonna get off on a huge tangent in Solomon Road.
I think we
again.
gotta work on the things that we are capable of.
Right.
And that's
Yeah,
exactly,
that's
what I'm
Solomon
trying
and
to
Solomon,
say.
okay? So we have to
And we
work on
can't depend
things,
upon them.
No.
for anything.
and we have to do things to show the town, first off, that we're willing to pick up our britches and move on,
Correct.
all right? Second off, is to show Solomon that we take a little pride in our neighborhood. The third thing I'm working on, and I'm working with Tim Dunn. And I'm working with Showcase Homes. I'm gonna present a business plan to Solomon and Solomon to get us a showcase house in there. It'll make both Showcase Homes, which is a Malta business that they want to see thrive. And Solomon thrive. If you throw things at two places that's gonna make them money. They're not gonna sell the house. But it also
So-
will.
What happens with this home? Does somebody live in it or does it?
No,
sit
it's a
there vacant?
showcase, it's to get people to come look at the house. The only problem that Showcase is having right now is the pad. Who's gonna put the pad down? Because the home will never be pulled out of here. It'll be set up and sold for this park. And hopefully it draws other people in to look at their homes, to want another home to bring in. But we have to change our appearance to get them to do that.
Which also, after that point, like, let's say that the showcase home gets put in. For like lawn maintenance, like mowing, is that something that showcase would also be doing, or is that? 'cause
No,
I
that
don't think
would be,
Solomon.
that would be between Solomon and Showcase at that point. But I believe Showcase will hold them to their contract because the type of person the owner is of Showcase. I happen to know him. I also know the modular homes that are built there, because there's mobile homes, if that's what they call them,
Mhm.
sorry. And then there's modular homes sold out of there. Okay, so our manufacturer homes are sold by the guy who owns Showcase. But Billy actually owns the modular homes. And you can actually go to his factory up past where you lived and watch those homes get
Oh,
built.
Bill Lakes,
Yes,
yeah. What, Bessie's with one of his workers, Bill's a good dude,
he's in business with Bill,
yeah, out in Sprinklers, he's a good guy,
all right, and they make money.
oh, yeah.
The problem we also have with doing this contract is they don't want Felicia.
Oh, thank God, she's obnoxious.
They don't want her in, they don't want her doing any of the leasing or any of the financing for those homes.
Who's they?
Showcase. They've got a bad taste in their mouth and you
Okay.
won't,
Well, I don't know if by law they can have a specific person doing leasing or selling. in
She's
their
a realtor.
park. I think that's,
she's
Got-
I know she's a realtor,
Got
but
nothing to do with the leasing.
yeah,
Yes, I don't think
he
she
will
would
not,
have it with
he
Solomon.
will not let her
yeah, but that's,
be a
that,
part of the
they
Showcase
cannot-
home.
what I'm saying is they cannot tell you. And they, being Solomon, cannot tell you who you can and cannot sell your home. So
This is Showcase's home. and they don't want Felicia. to
I
be
get that, I
involved.
get that, I'm saying that Solomon can't say that Felicia has to sell it, so. In any case.
Actually, it'd be up to Showcase to show the home.
Yeah,
Go to
they
home and
wanna
say-
use a
right,
separate
not-
realtor.
Use
other than-
whoever. Try not to.
Well, again.
Do they have
it's
someone
up
that
to
they
Showcase to decide
want?
who's gonna show the home, meaning one of their salespeople would be.
Well, they've got
generally
one
the
of their
person-
salespeople, and then they like another realtor in the area that does nothing but modular. Mobile
Yeah,
homes.
that's totally on them.
Yeah, they would have to have a contract with Felicia in order to have her showcase their.
That's what I thought,
So it has
but
nothing to do.
they were
with
coming
her.
at me, asking Tim. Doesn't Felicia sell all the houses in that?
Well,
park?"
that's because we contract her out or the people who are selling. the
Whoever is
homes.
in the park has
Yeah,
been
she
given her
sold, she
name,
sold my first
Yeah.
trailer in there.
so therefore they used her.
But
It's
we're not, we don't have to
You
use
you don't
her.
have
You
to.
don't have
Yeah,
to.
you
I
don't-
thought you guys were
Yeah, you
saying for a
don't
minute
have
that
to.
someone was like, nope, she's the only one that can sell.
Yeah,
your
they
home
can't
here.
by law, they cannot do that,
No,
Okay,
they cannot
Yeah.
restrict who
No,
sells your
there's
home.
other,
well, I
You can
did
sell
find
your
my
home
husband
yourself if you
was
want
listed
to.
to her,
Mhm.
and she ignored my phone calls.
no, there's a couple other people who do the mobile home real estate also. in
I
the
got
area.
mine through Mark Knowles,
Yeah,
and I didn't get ripped off at all. Good dude.
yeah, but with a showcase home, it has
It-
nothing,
it has nothing-
it has to do with showcase home, that has nothing to do with,
Right, and
you know,
and
we don't
he-
pick the real
for
estate.
some reason, and I don't know what the deal is, cause again, I didn't look her up. But apparently,
Hi, guys.
they don't want.
Yeah, she does sell most of the homes in there, but they're all usually the older homes. Any of the newer stuff, I don't think she's got her hands.
There's over there if you
Yep,
want.
absolutely, grab chairs and gather round.
We're gonna just, see if we're gonna keep these guys fed, I just didn't wanna not come at all, but yes. Sit down. 2, 3, 4, we need one more.
Okay, so,
I think one thing that we should do soon before we leave is like try to get at least an imaginary line.
You got
on
enough chairs,
sections.
Bob?
well,
You got enough there?
you know, that's going to be really up to how many people are willing to.
Here, you know what, I'll move over
I mean,
to. We need six maybe six volunteers, max, but would like 6 volunteers. They'll
Okay,
lead the sections, how's that? 6 sounds good.
okay,
I think it would keep it, been sitting here staring at this, so it looks to me like if we section this off into 6 places. That it would be manageable, you know what I mean, for each of those 6 people,
okay,
at least
so
6.
So
I,
you would mean like one person in charge of that section?
Right, and
To-
like,
Okay,
get a buddy, your husband, your kid or whatever to help you go walk around and knock on doors and kind of let.
Well, then I nominate you because my house, I do that.
I will do
I
that,
actually, and it could be even fun to get a walking group together.
yeah, like.
You know, and have some walking groups in the park where you're just gonna walk certain loops or whatever, and again, you get to know people as you travel the same circuits and you see the same people.
Right,
day in,
and
day out.
that's not saying that like, you know, leaders of like 2 sections can't buddy up together
Correct.
and go like.
Correct.
Do it together in their section, you know what I mean?
So basically, we need somebody to kind of spearhead that. Putting that together and there we go.
Go for it.
I nominate Heather.
Second, third,
All in favor?
okay, motion is so carried.
It's unanimous.
One of the things that I would like, and I say I want, but I'd like to see happen is identifying the abandoned homes, first of all.
Mhm.
I'd like to get pictures of them. So if you have abandoned homes in your neighborhood, take pictures and send them. And try to get the pictures where if there's broken windows or doors that have been kicked open, or there's one house that's got a huge hole, like from ceiling to floor.
Yeah,
And
I think that's on my street, is
Sunset,
it? E,
there's one in Sunset like that too.
where there's a hole in the roof from the tree, it's boarded up.
Oh,
and, like,
no, this
It's
is,
a wall.
this is missing the wall, that's
This is
sunset.
a small-
There's 2 on Sunset, there's one on Harbor, right in the same, within like 50-foot
Well,
radius.
if we
of
can
three
get
of them.
pictures of those in that condition, because I think with the town code, we should at least be able to get them boarded up. I would love to be able to see these secured where people can't get into them, kids
Kids
can't
break
get
in
hurt,
and get hurt.
animals get lost in them.
Well, not only the building itself, but one put it down on Sunset, I don't believe that they clean that up at all. That is strewn with litter and garbage from that gentleman, he left. It's been a year
We
and a
have
half.
the one across the street, the same thing, all the back
It's disgusting.
filled with
Yeah.
garbage and stuff. And quite frankly,
There's vermin in there.
Oh, yeah,
well, ours has raccoons living in it.
that's.
And then the ticks and.
And the fleas and ticks are unreal.
And it's obvious, they can't even be mowed. There's so much litter in there. that
Exactly,
the grass doesn't
exactly.
take
So they've got to come through, and I think that we can probably get the town involved with that. Because that's town code, and there's a section in the town code for property management. So I think that
Oh,
I
they just-
can
so they
lean
litter
into that a
differently.
little bit, where I can maybe, get some of these pictures together, put some of the things about the property management, like your standing water issues. That is in the property management
Standing
section.
water, but I gotta back you, even if it keeps trying to standing water, it's runoff. Like, we got a lot of storm runoff, which is a DEC concern, and it's happened already where some of these tanks have leaked. That's gonna get into the watershed. It's gonna get down in town.
Correct.
It's gonna be down. the
Correct,
lake.
so
And I
we
think right now-
definitely have to jump on that one and get that taken care of too.
You've gotta,
And the other thing I'd like to see is, once we get these houses secured, I'd like to see about having them condemned if they need to be condemned. And then we need to figure out how they can get rid of them. The vacant lots need to be mowed. And that is something we're gonna have to also use the town code, which is harboring, insects and rodents. So that is happening in all of those vacant lots and in all of these abandoned homes. So using the town codes, I think we can make some headway there and sort of force the hands.
How about the street lamps? And I see boxes, electrical, they're just electrical tape on, there's no closures,
Yeah,
so exposed wires. So
you know what's funny? I
Wow,
actually
really?
had, I had a meeting or phone call with a reporter back when I first started really kind of hitting on all of these issues. And the reporter said to me, well, you don't need streetlights. And I said, well, what do you mean we don't need streetlights? And she's like, well, who says that they have to replace them? And I said, they were here, they have to work. I said, there are turns in our park that are blind, like the one by yours. When that streetlight goes out, you can't see if there's anything on the other side. So, it's just, these people don't have the
It's a
thought
danger
process.
issue.
It's
also.
totally a safety issue, and that's against our warranty of habitability, is when our safety's in jeopardy. That's a warranty of habitability issue.
I would.
But I have a question about these tanks that you're talking about. Are we talking about propane tanks?
No,
Well, the propane leaks, it's not going to be, it's going to the.
It goes
it's
in the
not going to
air.
ground, so
Are you,
kerosene
I thought,
tanks. You're grandfathered in if you have,
Oh,
if you have
okay.
a serviceable kerosene tank, it's grandfathered in, you can still have those.
okay, I didn't know.
but I will
I
say
get
after
it
this,
from
I'm
the
sure
ground.
everybody who's got a kerosene tank is going to have to be up on this
Cause
inspection.
I used to work for.
Well, that was my point. I have John Ray and Sons
And then
as
go to
my
these places where the plumes and the watersheds and.
supplier. Every year, he checks my lines all the way, and I
Yeah.
use,
I,
I
It's
use
not
two
that bad.
things.
I'll continue
Kerosene
to,
will run
but
off.
yeah,
12B,
It's like
I go by
gasoline.
the acronym.
Whereas propane's more like a liquid gas.
Yeah, I,
if you were to go to the end of Arbor on the lakeside, to seminars.
Honey, I don't know
Oh.
the side of the park. it-
Outside of their house, they've got a moat.
They have a moat,
There's
and
a
I have,
stanchion of cans of electric meters that stand in standing water like year round. I can't believe that NYSEG's gonna walk out and check those meters there. I
yeah,
can't believe that that's a
And
safe
ignore it.
condition.
well,
Ignore it, it's probably
I
not safe,
agree.
it probably should be disconnected, it should probably red tag that.
I agree.
I don't know if it's that severe, but it's not to have those in standing.
And
water,
it's
not
summer,
that-
fall, winter, spring. It never goes away. It kind of gets a
Where
little
is it?
less.
Arbor Avenue, near Lakeside, because Arbor Avenue is kind of a semicircular drive, it connects from Tatio. And then near Tatio, on the other end, it turns to Lakeside.
is
right
it
there.
by Nate? Is that Arbor?
Yeah.
You know,
Arbor's
the
like on
two
the
houses
outside,
on Lakeside that were donated, you know where they're working right now, they're
Yeah,
the park veterans. That is Arbor and Lakeside, so if you go Arbor about 2 houses over, 3 houses over, you'll see. Right across the street, over the one of these vacuum pumps.
This one, that's part of it right on,
DC.
right there.
thank you. I really don't know that side of the park, so when you talk about it, I get very confused.
There's another little map. It's just not as cute.
I'm sorry.
Where? I don't know.
And
No.
to my defense, I've only been here
this
6
looks
years and I
bad.
did mind my own
Sorry,
business.
Yeah, me too, before I started walking my dogs, I didn't see a lot of this other stuff either, and on Avenue C.
Well, my
there's
neighbor will tell you I live in my
stanchions and
yard.
Vacant lots that it's all overgrown with weeds and And these are where the and I don't think.
C is pretty bad.
Yeah, it is.
See, yeah, all that section where you can't access the electric meters,
Yeah,
There,
And that's a
it's
problem.
easier to see
that's a
the-
problem. Like,
fire hazard.
it's a fire hazard, it's, you know, if there's an emergency,
So if they've got any issues with that, first thing you would do is call
Oh,
the fire
there they
department,
are.
because they will come.
well,
and
you
red
can
flag.
ask,
So
you can
that's
ask the
coming off the
fire,
patio.
fire code inspector person, it's, in our town, I think it's Rob Agents. So you can get.
We actually have all those mobile homes spots in this park.
Yeah.
But they're not all,
They're not
No,
all
they're not,
occupied.
there's a lot of vacant
It's
lots.
just the
I
map
don't know
that you
many,
pull
but
up. That is actually from their site. That is the site.
Yeah, that was probably
Yeah.
from like 25 years ago when
Yeah.
so many.
When we
people
actually
went
had a
there
lot
and
of people
went trick or treating and
But
on
see, the
your
cost
guys'
of
side,
housing
there
is
was someone
going
who
up.
had to
that
take the kids
beginner
around.
family
Like a.
is never gonna be
100-day
able to
ride
afford a
type
stick
of thing.
house.
So that's cool.
They're gonna go under, they're gonna flip. It's better for them to buy these houses, and seniors that are downsizing, it's better for them, that's why we got ours.
Mhm.
I didn't plan on getting sick, I planned on leaving a couple of months here and there and coming back, but it didn't work out that way, it wasn't in my plans.
has anybody, and we haven't gotten to this point yet, does anybody got any information on? What the process is for forming a co-op in the case that somebody does propose to purchase, to redevelop?
There are things to do. There are certain steps to make. You have to have a tenants association. And that I know from Angela's part.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that we all need to look into, but
Well,
not whether or not they're selling the park. I think even just starting the tenants association
yes.
might be a good idea, which I
so
think
too.
this is sort of the beginning of.
Yeah, when you get like,
Well,
well, the
when it gets to that
representatives from
point,
each of the
if you
districts.
Yeah.
form a
There's-
co-op, you need unanimous, everybody in the park, that's what I need to know.
That we don't know, and
Cause
I.
this is gonna take some time and effort to really organize everybody.
I have to
Well,
do
and
some
that's the
legwork
other
with
thing.
Boston
It's
Spa.
so big, our park is so large that if we were to do this, if we needed a unanimous thing, it's now that we have to start.
That's my
Which is
point.
one of the reasons why I say that we really need to look into a tenants association, not like an HOA. And I don't really even know if there's going to be monies paid in, and that's everybody's big concern. I will have you know, whenever we've talked about this with meetings or walking
It- it-
around, people get really nervous that they're gonna have another bill.
Yeah.
And I think that trying to keep away from that as much as possible, or making it as minimal as
As
possible,
possible.
Yeah.
would be the way to go. But I think for our own safety, I think coming up with like a tenants association would really work. So, you know, that's another thing we need to look into, and I'm not sure.
Boston Spa bought a park, that their homeowners in the park bought.
Yeah, I posted
Okay.
it, Alicia.
Um,
On Middle Line Road,
yes,
There's an article on the
Wait a minute,
MGMH
that's not-
page.
just as you're coming down Middle Line before you hit Geyser Road, right there on the left, small park.
It's
that
a
part
small
that's usually
park.
Flooded,
Is that the one that the manager,
no, that's not Angel's Park.
no, that's.
No,
no, one of the guys, one of my partners was killed in there by the manager of the property.
It's possible, I'm
They got
not,
an argument, a fight, and beat him to death, I think that's the same.
yeah, I'm
park
not
there.
sure, but it used to
Sorry.
be called, it used to be called.
Immaterial, sorry.
The only reason
Yes.
I'm saying
Free to
anything
buy.
is it was, they got
So-
together,
had lot
they
of
got a
issues.
nonprofit and they bought their
Well,
park.
Scott was a guy drunk.
They pay their lot rent and their taxes
So-
through the nonprofit. And they maintain their park on their own.
Yeah.
but that takes a lot of planning
And
and,
a lot of work, and it takes more than just to sitting at this table to do that.
and again, just so everybody knows that there's grant money out there if it came to that. There's a lot of grant, it's a certain percentage that they will come up with.
Went through a co-op.
But we also have a slightly different issue, and that is that our property has apartments on it. And I don't know how that would work. Would they have to separate the apartments off of our property? And
The other part.
our common roads are
What we
there.
understand it's two separate entities to begin with.
It's two separate
Yeah.
entities.
It is
with
what it
because
is, the property is.
Malta Gardens owns the water and Malta Point owns our sewage. If that's the way it reads on paper, then they're two separate entities.
So why are we paying?
Well, I think it really depends on how
It would have to
the
say.
property
all
is titled.
Right.
All deeds of everything.
It's two separate entities,
As you
so
go
therefore,
further,
yes, we can
there's a
say.
sharp
We're-
turn, just because
We're
you go
paying
there,
for the
it's on
sewer
left.
because then they get more.
But Solomon.
Cause we were living in the
I don't
apartments
know
before
how
and we were
that would
paying for
work
both
as far
water
as
and
the
sewer over
deeds.
there
It
too.
doesn't
So
matter.
it's just.
And then
all
our
the money
water,
making.
The problem,
$10
problem
is it
is-
$10 or something like that.
Yep, exactly.
On top of our base.
Uh-huh.
they may, but they screwed up when they made it two corporations.
But it's owned by the Solomon Corporation.
I would need a lawyer to actually,
They screwed
Understand
up
that.
when they made it two separate entities.
Okay.
So now the land can be sold as separate units.
I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Quite
Should
frankly.
be.
Yes or no?
I think it
They're
could.
listed as two separate parcels.
It's not, it's listed as one.
There,
She looked it up.
I read.
Who owned the point before? Was it Rocco that owned the point?
It was
Point?
DCG.
So it was two separate owners, correct?
No,
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 it was one, Don Green.
On both.
Yes, as
Rocco was
one
the manager.
property.
As one property, and then it was sold to Solomon as one.
Rocco.
Who owned it
Yeah.
before that?
That's
I
what
thought a guy
Well,
named Joe.
DCG is done.
And I think Rocco was the
That's his
manager then.
I honestly don't know if it went before
And then
him. I thought
before
DCG
that,
started it.
we're going
Because he was taking
too
kickbacks.
far back. I
Or-
think.
first time we moved in.
I'm just asking,
2000.
because that's, well, you already just searched the title, that's.
'Cause I've been here-
That's my job, that's like, it's way too fun.
But it is true, we're two
I'm
separate
at
entities,
14, we figured I'd be here for 3 or 4
and on all the billing,
14.
it's that way from them.
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's like I can't even afford
Yep.
to move.
I've been in-
If I
I
don't
researched that part.
yeah.
First time.
So
I actually lived in.
trying to reel this back to something else here. I just,
And then the second
one of the
time
things that I
was
wanna
right
say is, I know that I've been, and I've done it to you, actually, when you came to me with something and I kind of was like, well, do you have the phone number? Have you looked this up? Have you looked that up? If you post something on the page that you either heard from somebody or got from somebody, or you have a certain, you got a certain benefit from somewhere that you think other people might be able to benefit from, post the information, post who to contact, an email, a website, post something so somebody else can go look it up for themselves. Don't just say, well, I got such and such, or, you know, there's the latest thing for me is we can dump the garbage in the field that we were told. we were
I
gonna be
was
fined
blown
for.
away because I was told that we were being.
Not
Not garbage, sorry, leaf and lawn debris, sorry, not garbage, totally my mistake, thank you.
That was,
It was a slip of the tongue, but in any case, we don't even know
And where
the
did that
rules.
come from?
Well, it came from,
a tenant,
a tenant who said the park stopped by their house, which I'm not doubting.
well, who's the park?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know, that's why I
Right,
sent an
right,
email
that's
to
what they
Sarah.
posted that up there, and
Yeah.
that's a service, but yeah, you're right.
I
we
mean,
don't.
they don't
But-
identify themselves.
So we need, when something like that comes up, before we start saying that, well, you can do this, so we don't get in trouble and
We
we
have to
don't
have
do,
an email.
we don't have any rules, so we don't know what our guidelines are going to be. So in order for us to actually utilize this, if it is to our benefit, we need to know more information. So when you're gonna post something online, please, by all means, supply as much information as possible, or you will get me saying, where'd you hear that from? Where'd you get that information from?
Right,
What's the
like,
phone
say-
number
cite
that you
your
call?
source.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
exactly, exactly, because, and I don't trust anything unless I go to the source and get the information, or I can actually research it.
I believe you that Jacinda showed up at your house or whatever, but.
Right.
But who is she? Who was it?
Yeah,
Like, can you just
exactly,
Tell me
and
specifically
I-
who you talk to, just so I can call and verify it if I want to, like.
You know, and I'm not doing it to be a jerk, but really to benefit all of us, it's just, it would be.
I only
so
have one
much
person
better.
at my house and that was Diasia, or Adasia, whatever her name was, the bully.
I mean, so
Okay.
if we
She
section
changed my
off,
voice now.
if we section off the park and kind of get like a representative for each of these areas, it's another step towards if we do need to co-op and buy, we've already got something that's structured to a degree to help make that easier.
I understand, and I was thinking, you know, to come along the way, if we had somebody. At least one or on the larger sections, larger streets, have one or two persons as a point person, at least for now. to get out some information, disseminate, we'll get hangers out on people's doors, knocking on doors, get people involved.
They don't answer. They,
Not everybody's gonna want to.
No, they
They
don't,
just
answer,
don't.
and that's
It's
fine,
okay.
but roll it up and
Some
just stick
people
it on
just
their
don't
door
know.
and give them the opportunity to know.
Yeah,
I
Without-
got so discouraged the last time we tried to do this.
But let's not get discouraged,
That's why we break
the
it up.
squeaky wheel gets the grease, so let's keep squeaking. Let's
I'm gonna
keep
get you a
letting people know that
motorized
this
scooter, you're
stuff
gonna
is
come
out
around
there.
with me.
I
and
want
you're
the
gonna have
best
a backup.
way.
All the papers in your basket.
I want the best,
Well-
I even know what I want. I've seen it. It's gray.
I mean, but the whole point is if they don't want help, then they don't want help.
I,
So you
but if
just,
we
you take
offer-
it and you just do it for the people who want help, and then maybe once they're seeing that, oh, maybe this is a good idea.
And there's actual follow through.
Then there's,
Yes,
yes, and there's
exactly.
follow through and they're seeing progress,
okay,
then
but
maybe they'll
you
open
gotta-
up, but.
Progress starts at.
I think
Progress
some
does
people
start
are
at
but
worried
it's
about
starting at
retaliation
home.
too.
With
I'm
who's
sorry,
willing to
I think
accept.
some people get worried about retaliation too.
Right.
Everybody's afraid of the
Was you that
office.
posted the
Yeah.
retaliation thing?
Right.
Possibly,
To
I
be
don't
honest
know.
with you, I'm sure they're on Facebook. I'm
So-
sure.
Someone
Probably.
spoke to the
The Attorney General.
Attorney General
Yes,
in
yes.
regards to
And-
being afraid of retaliation.
Yes, and the Attorney General said there's a link to a complaint form,
DHCR.
DHCR included. In any case, you're going to complain, if you have a complaint about something in the park, you need to complain to DHCR and use that Attorney General complaint form. And you are going to just be careful, document everything, but the Attorney General's office who sent that letter said that they are well aware of this and they will make sure that that does not happen.
Okay, let me interject. Go ahead, say what you gotta say. I know you're trying to get.
No, it's all right.
Go ahead.
No, but what I was pointing out is folks that we have some legitimate concerns about. Perhaps retaliation, because it has happened,
Yes,
I think I spoke. Probably on Facebook or something, one particular resident that was forced to leave, they've canceled her lease while they were mediating the mold growing in her apartment after it was documented that her and her son were sick.
and I agree,
So-
we can't mix the apartment.
No, I
with the-
understand, but
Okay.
it's still the same organization,
It is-
still the
it's
same
still the
management,
same
still acting in the same vein. So I think what's important for us to have a clear mission and understanding what our mission statement is and what we're trying to accomplish here. What are we trying to do? Are we trying to protect ourselves against redevelopment? Are we trying to promote a healthier, safer community?
Yes, yes,
All of the above, yeah.
Okay, so I think it needs to be clear too, so people have an understanding, because some of the people think that we're just
I
rabble
agree.
rousers.
I agree.
That were what?
Rabble rousers, we're here to create some friction and trouble, they don't want any involvement, they don't be involved with that. So I think Valerie was trying to say
Yeah,
was,
you're right. A mission statement was a list of like goals.
Well, again, that could be for the tenants association. Start that first,
And that's gonna be a part of that.
right?
when you start
Within the
going-
association. Set your people.
I
and
also
like,
think we have to
each
conduct
section,
ourselves.
And then when we have meetings. Not saying I'm gonna be part of it, but when you have meetings. Then each person who's more or less overseeing those parts of the park. Come together and go, okay, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Start that first, get that going,
No, dude,
get
just all of a
the
sudden we
people
get-
involved in that, and then it'll.
Yeah, I was just making
Go ahead, just
myself
so-
notes, like I was gonna
Yeah.
make like sheets that basically you can, when you go door to door, write the person's name
Right.
down, how their form of contact that they would like, whether it's a
Yeah,
phone, text.
Email.
Give them the information for the Facebook group, ask them, what do you need help with around your lot area? What are problems you've noticed, just like
They
a,
have a form.
Exactly,
Also with that,
And-
it'll help, cause
like a
if
survey.
we
Right,
form
which
this,
is,
then we can go to the management and say, look, we formed a tenant association. If, for the lawn debris and the leaves, something like that, they just send it to the tenants association. Then the tenant association disperses it through the park. Try to work with them to get possible boards up at the mailboxes, so we can put up notices of what's going on, so the parks can say, hey, we're offering this. What's
bulletin
5,
board,
6
right?
pieces of
Well,
I mean,
paper?
the
Yeah,
apartment
both
side
of
has
them.
that, like they
So-
have like the little like
Community
huts
bulletin.
where the mailboxes are
community-
located in. that people would post things on the side of that all
Well,
the
I
time.
can
Yeah,
also
we have
tell
a
you
piece of
that-
shit mailbox that's
Yes,
about to fall over.
Yeah.
The post office wants Solomon to put in new mailboxes and Solomon has
I have
refused.
not had a locked mailbox
Her
since I
key
was
is
sick.
sticking,
It's
broke-
sticking out, it's
It's
snapped off.
broken the thing.
And I was like, are you, oh,
She
they're like, you
sold
need
the
to pay
house
for it. I
like
said,
that,
I
and
just
they
moved
never
in.
replaced it.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah,
understandable,
no, I
but
went through the same thing.
I'm telling you, you're gonna have more sway. If we actually form the association,
I agree.
Yeah, you're right. That's why I was
because
just. sitting
then,
there writing that
it's more
little-
of a collective group rather than us 12.
And the scattered few on.
You know,
I
Just
want
scattered
more
few.
people involved.
So,
The
no,
more
I get
involved
it,
we get-
it'll come, but we just gotta show them that, look, we're serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Not
also
here to
want
cause
them to
trouble.
know,
We're trying to make it,
We're trying to make it
Right.
better
Trying to make
and
it
safe
better.
and livable for
How do we
everybody.
promote that?
and it benefits
How
them.
do we promote this? How do we promote that?
Well, so
Well,
I, all right, so I broke
Sorry,
this up
people
into
block
about-
pride, stand up for your neighbors.
I started out and broke this up into about 4 sections thus far, just because of how many people are currently involved. But I think the more that we talk about it and mingle and maybe a
Yeah,
couple
we're gonna
people start
get
going
more
out and
people.
knocking on
Yeah,
doors, more
you
people
could have-
to,
You could have one
have
person
to-
per street.
I mean,
Well, some of those streets are really difficult to do one
right,
person.
but I've mapped it
Well,
out
but
into
that's
kind of
what I'm
4
saying,
sections,
person per
Facebook.
street, Bigger streets obviously will have more representation. You know, as far as,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
okay, you take this half of, Lakeside or whatever, and you take this
Absolutely.
half of Lakeside.
I mean, I think we,
So, then everybody, we're all still working together. But then, like, cause this guy on this end ain't gonna know what this guy on this end needs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, and that's,
So-
yeah, keeping it small though definitely will help that.
it will, but it's the, how many people are willing to even.
I know.
start.
I
So
know.
now.
Because it's like, we can make it smaller.
We're gonna, he's
I
recording
see
it.
the section you're talking.
So then we put it on there, okay, listen, this is what we all talked about. We're trying to get this going. Anybody who wants to volunteer or participate, get a hold of such and such, send us an email. Message on, Facebook, whatever, and then when we have another meeting like this, we can bring, hopefully more people will show up and be like, this sounds like you guys are really trying to do something good. I wanna be involved too.
Yeah.
And then we can go from there, and then,
But I think what we really need to make clear to everybody that's out there listening to us is we are not here to go back to Solomon, and tell your business. That is not what we're here to do,
No,
okay?
No,
And we're here to help you in any way that we possibly can.
well, that'll be part of the mission statement in the tenants association, whatever you wanna. call it.
Because I see it on the Multi-Point and the Multi-Garden site a lot. Where people will say something and they make themselves anonymous. Because they've been picked on by the office and management.
Mhm.
Or.
Or
it's actually surprisingly not as much as you think. Question for you. Is there any way, because as we get these vets in here, is there any way to maybe find some sort of, how the vet homes have the sponsored things? Like, they put in a roof by this person and they put in doors by that person.
electricians.
Is there any way to maybe talk to those people or know who is into doing stuff like that? And maybe not.
We volunteer with the Multi Veterans Appreciation Program.
Correct.
That are donating these homes that we're rehabbing.
Correct, I know.
I know the folks over at Saratoga County Veterans Association as well as the VHCC. What is it that you're looking at?
Well, I'm saying like if somebody's got. Where they need help, they might not qualify for help, because
As far as
guidelines,
veterans,
you always fall like dollars short.
I've got a ton of resources for veterans.
Okay, but if they're not veterans, I'm just wondering if there's any way to reach out to some of these organizations and seeing if they want to do like. Maybe a discounted thing because they're in there and they're making this place beautiful for the veterans that are in here. I mean-
Yeah, I don't
Like-
know. See.
The
If it's a
stability of
veteran
our park,
organization, they're really only going to, their guidelines are, they can give this, help to, they can put a roof on so long as it's a veteran's family at risk and they're gonna be here for the next 5 years. They generally have their guidelines and stipulations, and any of these kind of projects, they all go before a board. there's other organizations out there though, like, we built to Saratoga.
which we're gonna get into
Patrick Manning,
before we wrap
still-
this up.
Okay. Yeah.
But no, I'm not done. Just keep talking. We'll get to the rebuilding, Saratoga.
So, no, I understand it, trying to find it, pull all your resources, and I
Well,
found
because
quite a few.
we have a lot of people
nice
that
surveys,
fall
one.
between the cracks in that park.
Yeah, I've done a lot of this stuff for my family, my friend's family, and
Well, that's what I'm actually saying is some, any of these contractors that they might be interested in giving like a discounted rate. Is there any way to find this out so that
The separate contractors.
The contractors that work with the veterans. as well.
Yeah,
Right,
you know,
right,
like the
right.
guy
The
who does the
veterans
roofing,
association, So.
is he
Well,
willing to do some business in the
yeah, a lot
park?
of
at
that
a
stuff too,
discounted
you're
rate?
talking about,
I mean, I know that they get write-offs
you
and
get
stuff,
tax, yeah, it's your charitable.
right? But
Tax
I'm
off.
wondering if,
Renee operates under a 501c, if we wanted to do something like that, that's possible,
okay.
we could do something like that.
But my thought is that, unfortunately with these guidelines, they're so strict.
Yeah.
That, putting a roof on is expensive and putting windows in is expensive. And you may not qualify by dollars for one of these programs, but you're still going to have to put that
We're
roof
still
on. You're
marginal.
still gonna
we
have,
to, yeah, we're
So-
still.
there's nothing to help those middle people that just get lost in these
Yeah, there is a
bureaucratic
struggle. Well, I don't know
things.
who to go to, but I can tell you about night serve in New York State. and the-
Okay, I wasn't sure, with some of the contractors, if they
I don't deal
need
with
any.
those, I was a member of the local, and some of the local, they donate their time, they'll ask for volunteers. We could call some of the locals. some of
There's
the
an
union
idea.
Locals and say, hey, we have a family up here that could use some help, any of you guys wanna come kind of help? They're gonna come and donate some of their time, it's up to up to each individuals, they're not gonna donate material though.
Right,
we
but that
go
might even
to-
be helpful
But
because.
that might.
We could still appeal
maybe-
to like say Curtis Lumber,
But that
somebody who's
doesn't-
always
yeah.
given,
Mhm.
tens of thousands of dollars to the
Mhm.
multi-veterans project on these homes here alone. That's a possibility, but I'm saying there are other resources out there too that I've worked with to help my friend's mother get a roof put on her house from.
You sound like our resource point person. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
That's what I heard,
I've
right?
become
Is
that
what you
last
heard?
couple
That's what I'm hearing.
Cause we're gonna need like
I
people
don't mind
that,
making phone calls.
yeah, you're right, but it sounds like you already have.
I have some that are-
So much knowledge of like people, just even to begin though, and that you're willing to learn more and find
I
out more
like
and
to
tell
help
about that
people,
stuff.
and
We're
I
gonna
certainly
need someone
wouldn't
that's a
mind.
point person that can kind of get us a compiled thing of
Hmm.
who can do what, right? This
And-
person will donate
and I'm
their
sure
time, but
there's
this person will
contract-
donate materials for this type of stuff, you know what I mean? So
Sure.
point person, yeah?
I'm sure there's
I don't know.
contractors.
All in favor?
Willing to. Let's table that.
There might be, but
But they're not coming out.
They could
because they
also be
don't-
hustling to make their ends meet
Ready to
too.
go.
I know.
I think we're gonna run. I am. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just telling my kids I can't keep them. So listen, could you just put this out? My name and number, 518-257-9797. Text me, you know where I am on Facebook. If it's something I can help you with, I'll certainly try it. I can't, maybe I can find somebody that can.
And what's your
I don't know if I have your number all the way, but
518-257-9797.
257.
I had to make it real simple.
Yeah,
I'm glad you can
you're
remember
on
your
dial
guys'
on my
numbers.
Facebook.
I only remember about 3 now. I can remember all my phone numbers as a child.
So can I.
Grandparents,
yeah.
my aunts,
Well,
uncles.
before you
But we
go,
actually had to die.
Yeah, we did things. remember now.
before you go, real quick, the rebuild together Saratoga. We had a person contact them for us, and they do have, they work with grant homes, and this is just interesting, I found anyway.
You get a roof if you're over 55, otherwise you can get like a walk-in shower.
Yeah, they have, they do a grant program for manufactured homes where you can get a single wide home delivered and a pad put down. They actually work with Showcase Homes to do this. However, Malta Gardens is so nice that, they will not allow it to happen because the tenant needs to be there for 10 years in order for this to actually occur.
It's prorated.
So it's a lien that's put on the property and Solomon will not sign off on it. And because of that, there are grand homes that go to other parks. There's, I guess
So
there's
that,
four parks in
that
our
might
area.
be, that might be an area where we need to talk to a lawyer, because they can't discriminate if you have section 8 to go with the rental. I used to be able to do that, and turn away section 8, you know, I don't want that type of income, that's illegal
Yeah.
now.
Yes.
So if it's not illegal already, that's something we need to talk about.
Well, I'm sure that it's not really illegal to do because
Why, it's where the source of funding. is.
they're not the only one that is
On the
doing
lease.
this. There are other parks in our area. There's 4 other mobile home parks, manufactured home parks that refuse the full replacement
So that's
service.
for the full replacement though, so that's not for like the windows or the roof or the shower or stuff
The
like
way I
that.
read it
Right,
was for the
so
full
That's
replacement.
just the full replacement and solid.
They're
is
still willing to
refusing.
do the roof,
Right, so
if
there's
you fall in the guidelines,
It's a
money wise.
tight guideline.
They don't
And
work.
they're only-
programs out there with the Built Together Saratoga and. I am going to see, and I don't know, did she call back? Okay, I'm gonna see if the person would be willing to do like a Zoom conference meeting with us. To, you know, like a workshop kind of thing, if anybody is income, you know,
Is-
there.
Has anybody worked with LifeWorks, formerly Saratoga County EOC, they have the weatherization program.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, for
Weatherization,
windows
What can
and-
help you replace
furnaces
windows,
and stuff.
doors, furnaces, EOC, EOC, social services can heat, they can replace, you know, your furnace if it's out, or
Yeah.
elements of it.
Those are all things.
So, yeah, there's definitely things out there. But you had mentioned it, that's why I wanted you to stick around for that one, because I just thought that was interesting that, you know, of course. Somebody could get a new home and. They put the pad in and everything, and
So-
it's like a 4-week turnaround, you order everything brand new.
What is the? What is the stipulation for somebody to do a credit check? Right?
We do a credit check, other than that, now, if you're putting a new home in, you have to put down the pad. You're responsible for your.
Your homeowner does.
Yes,
So,
which I, you know, that's a big expense, it's huge.
It's now being
And-
escrowed into your mortgage if you're buying
Yeah.
a new mobile home.
And you,
Correct.
you leave the park and you leave that there, you can't like pick
Right.
up your pad and take it with you.
right now.
Yeah, but it changes all the time and they're not gonna be able to use that back.
Jackhammer and a dump truck.
Yep.
Just to take your pad with
But see,
you.
that's the other
Trade
thing,
it out.
you know, they think we can pick up our homes and just put them on the back of the truck like a camper.
I
And,
understand that shit's expensive though.
And some of the
Well,
homes
yeah.
are too old to even move.
and
Way
there's
too
my
Most
point,
parks won't own-
most parks will not take a
5 to 10
home
years old.
that is
Mine's
over
only 81.
8 years old.
I know, mine's only 14,
Yeah,
it's only my
5
son,
or
like,
10,
it's not
I
that
called
old.
around.
You know what I
I
mean?
thought it
That's
was
a-
into the
that's
person.
really-
Yeah, then, that was years ago.
New
when they
thing.
stuff like that.
It's not even wet behind the ears yet.
It was.
Yeah.
All right, how about, you wanna,
Lots of-
I did a gist of a mission statement, cause maybe we should have that before we leave too, so we know, like, we wanna do a mission statement and we want to start this. Something that I just put together and anyone can feel free to add to it in
Okay.
the comments or whatever. Our goal is to keep everyone within the park feel, our goal is to help everyone within the park feel heard, have their concerns addressed, and restore pride back into our immediate community. We are looking to protect homeowners from fears by creating an association that helps facilitate change and communication with the owners of the land.
Good.
I mean, you can tweak it, add more,
Well,
think
the other
on
thing I
it.
mentioned is like, let's, come on, like a barbecue or a block party. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
And
We
it's
talked
something-
about that, yeah.
it's, you know,
That's why we were doing
More
the
sense to
sections, so then we
community.
thought we could maybe do one by section and then have, of course, like a huge one for everybody to be invited, but kind of maybe do it by the sections. And it gets more people to kind of come out, like who doesn't love free food and
And I think
A
you're
good
more
time.
willing to come out if you know the people that you're gonna be around.
right.
So, you know, it's getting to know the neighbors and you're out there, you do the lot, tons of volunteering with your children, yourself. So you know a lot more people in this park than a lot of us. You probably know them by face and you probably know some of their names, but you know a lot more people because you're doing this. Some of us
not true.
who don't have a.
No,
huge-
and I get it, but you know, I think once we get the information out, and a lot of people aren't aware of at all what's happened. Because I'm sure there's a ton of people that have not read the comprehensive plan, they don't understand what we're considering, you know.
Well, and I agree, and I think that that's the other thing is,
I think once they're made aware of some of this stuff, they might just put their ears up a little bit and listen.
I walked around to lots of people's homes a couple years ago and talked about when they were doing the zoning changes that they had talked about. I don't think they actually ever went through. I never heard anything more on them. And
No one ever read it.
after a while, just trying to follow the town because of COVID, things just got tricky to follow town meetings and stuff. But,
Yeah.
the zoning was gonna be changed from, I think it's light residential now to light commercial, and they were talking about the warehouse that was going next door.
Yeah.
And I'll say this is our property is really a very, very prime piece of property. And it wouldn't take much for somebody with big pockets to want to come in and purchase this property, because it is the Route 9 corridor. It is valuable to business. It is valuable if it was going to be homes. It is just plain old valuable.
If if we were bought out, I know there's the right to buy or whatever it's
Right to
called.
first refusal.
If we weren't able to do that and someone else bought us out,
We have 5
You
years.
move.
Not necessarily.
they don't have to like, especially for the people that can't move their homes. They don't
It's-
have to like buy us out
It's a
first.
stipend.
No, you can have
It's a
up to
stipend,
$15,000.
Yeah, up to 15.
So they're gonna-
Zero to $15,000
The
the judge
newer homes,
decides.
the higher.
Is
But
that,
they don't have
is
to
that
buy
for your
people out.
relocation?
No.
No.
Period.
That's
Only
just
thing you're
period.
entitled
So
to
if
that's
you
is
have
$15,000.
$15,000,
You
that's
can
it.
move it for 50,000.
Which most of
Or
all-
you just walk away from your home.
You
for
walk away-
I
50,000.
that's why I told them, I was at that meeting,
Up to.
like I bought my home for $50,000.
Your mortgage, you don't have anywhere to go once it's, collateral,
You default your mortgage and now
you
you're.
lose it. So that's a
Exactly.
financial hit that would happen to your credit if you have a mortgage.
No, I understand.
And these beehives that I spoke about at the meeting, just for a 1-bedroom beehive apartment over there in the lot,
I don't know.
with no, you pay your own lights, you pay your own electric, your
22.
heat, and you pay your water. $2,400.
I said 22. Yeah, no, I know, I can't afford to go anywhere.
That's why it's
At
2,400.
3 bedroom,
And
2
you can go
bath,
swim with.
forget it. I
75
never do
people
it.
over there.
I have to. You know,
Oh, and they have a hot tub.
relocate.
I mean, folks just have to understand that, like, if it was something where we would buy it out, like, there's still going to be like a lot fee and there's still gonna be
Crowd,
all of those
everybody's-
things.
Yeah,
because-
and we'd still have to figure out how the roads are getting plowed and how the roads are getting
It
fixed.
has to be run.
How the lights are getting done,
That's
who's
why
taking down the tree, you know?
None of us can be responsible.
Great, I
for
got
that.
a lot of
That's
fun.
the brothers have done.
That's
They're
what the
a
residents-
nonprofit organization. They put in the management in. They make the management work for us. But they do, from what I've read, and even in on our age, where this is happening in different places, which I showed you.
It's like, you can buy cheap.
What I've read now is-
An hour.
We don't actually say what our lot rent price is gonna be.
That's fine.
It's gonna be about how much it costs them to give us the services we do.
Break enough stuff.
It boils down to. But we're demanding, I mean, our lawn and leaf bags picked up in the spring and in the fall. That's not a bad demand to make.
Mhm.
It also helps us keep our yards clean and nice, all right? Before COVID hit, they came every week. They came on garbage day. And they took them. Where they went, I didn't know until the dumpsters went up there, then I found out where everything.
It would just be nice if they maintained, not even upgrade anything, but just maintain the property.
Yeah.
You wanna know why more stuff is being put on us as homeowners in our leasing? It's because they know that their infrastructure sucks.
Mhm.
That news article, where did they spend $2 million on the water system?
They put in a new well.
They said, isn't that what that article said, $2
Yes.
million?
Yeah. They put in a new well, but yet our water still,
Well, it's the same
It's more-
water
It's
table.
well water, honey, it's
It's-
gonna be.
it's always gonna be- and it's hard water.
Wells in the same lake doesn't mean you get.
Thanks, Scott.
I have a filtration system on my home, okay? And I still keep my coffee pot every 6 months. And he washes it constantly, but shits the bed,
oh yeah.
you know, the dishwasher, you just have multiple issues. Due to the hard water,
I was
You're
told when I
changing.
moved in, don't buy a dishwasher. That's what I was told, and there's no point.
I changed my shower heads.
Like, again, I've been here over 20 years, so.
But this, CLR, if you, I got tired of changing them, and I happen to like my shower head. I unscrew it, I get a big bowl of CLR, and I stick it in there and leave it there for a while. And then it takes all the calcium.
And one of the other things you wanna do is you wanna take the little things off the faucets and clean the screens out. Because anytime that the water runs low, or anytime that they're flushing the system, you get the debris in the screens.
Screen guys.
This is another issue.
And you can sometimes see pebbles in those.
And this is an issue because I was in a house fire, and I'm gonna state this. You got a fire hydrant in front of your place, shovel it.
Right.
Okay? Cause the life you may save may be your own. Alright, the other thing is, they've told me for 3 years that they've been flushing our fire hydrants. Never once has that fire hydrant on Ron's property been flushed. Not
Not
once.
once.
So I don't even know if it works.
We've been here 6 years.
Well, you
can
know
just have
what,
the fire
that might
department
actually,
go
I
and
was
test
just
it.
gonna say,
I'm so sorry.
the fire department
Look more or less, they will.
might come over and test it,
They
but maybe
absolutely will.
that's a fire, the. Fire code person, or,
Yeah, it's definitely the fire code person.
so
You wanna call
maybe,
them?
Call,
You call them?
I'll call. because I
What,
don't
the
think
test
it-
the hydrants
To
around?
test the hydrants, yes. I'm a big freak about fire. She's heard my fire alarm go off. It screams fire.
Ain't too
Yeah,
bad.
it's
Better
the.
do it once it's state fire, I'd get them people up here.
so,
I'm a
yeah,
freak about
that's
it.
important too. I mean, I did talk to somebody at one point in time that said that they'd come through, I think, Malta, no, Brown Lake Fire Department, I think, said they work. But I've never seen anything hooked up to the one out in front of, over by the raccoon's house.
So this is another point. If they shut off, remember I went on Facebook a while ago saying my water was off? Is anybody else's water off? Nobody around me's water was off. They shut off Ron because he, left the room. And it was hooked to me. I was shut off because they shut off Ron. So how do we know that when they shut off that water for that house over there, that they didn't shut that fire hydrant down?
That's true too.
How do we know that?
Right.
They should be on separate lines though, because I think they have to be a bigger pipe.
I shouldn't have
Should
been
be.
on Ron's line.
So,
But the infrastructure
Yeah,
is
but
from
that's
the
different.
seventies too,
That-
when they didn't have these
that's true.
guides and these things that they
That's
had to
true,
adhere
too.
to.
So that's something to think about as well.
Especially with this fire that happened in East Greenbush.
Yeah, that is
You know,
scary.
Do you want our lines not to work? The
Yeah.
Fire department got in here really quick when we had that so-called blowdown. Microburst at one tornado. They were right in our development right away. They were going door to door. Even though I look shell shocked.
That was quite a storm.
Oh my
It was quite a
goodness.
storm.
That was at the beginning of COVID, wasn't it?
Mm,
During the summertime?
I think it was the sun.
When the trees were ripped up all
Yeah,
around the
That
park.
was just before COVID, yeah.
Yeah,
We went to my mom's house and
Was
the
it
patio was not
twist?
for.
Yeah, they were twisted.
And I look at the back door.
We all came out of
So-
the houses looking like shell shock.
yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah,
Oh,
right after she got trapped.
oh, no.
Yeah, a tree fell on their house and she got trapped.
Yeah, and there's still houses on the other side of the park from us that the trees are on from that storm.
Mhm.
Like, there's like a willow on one of the trees, on one of the houses over there. Jesus, take
It's,
care of it, get it out of there.
Storm was 8/18/2019.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, it's great.
It was wild shit.
Okay, so we've got most of actually the things that I had on here, believe it or
You
not.
thought we were way off track.
Well, we were way off track at the beginning, but we pulled it back together.
Just
Um,
went full circle.
so basically,
We just wanted to get to the meeting.
we're gonna be, yeah, right, we're gonna be looking for people, for volunteers to do certain things. We might point a person to make phone calls here and there. Or, like calling the fire
I'll do
marshal
that.
person. I'm sorry, I couldn't even think of marshal before,
Would I
sorry. about
call,
that.
this is the confusing, would I call Malta Ridge or would I
No,
call?
Call rock
Brown Lake?
agents.
Just like, I'm holding, everybody come and give me a party. I like firefighters.
I think most of them are Irish.
You want me to edit that out?
Getting off topic here.
Yeah,
I mean,
Okay,
listen,
so
I've
guys,
seen
we're
around
all
here, I need a
into-
variety, okay? Sorry.
All right, and you know, one of the other things that I really want to say is if anybody who's walking around, anybody who is noticing something, I'm gonna just be the point person only because I've kind of already got a lot of this stuff together. I already have pictures that I've sent. So, you know, if we can just send pictures to me of abandoned homes, lots that need to be maintained. If you have somebody's house that needs to be looked at, I don't want it to be a witch hunt. But let's say you have a neighbor that, you know, they look like they might need help. Certainly send pictures our way, my way, because what we'll do is we will kind of not necessarily go and be like, you need to clean up your yard. That doesn't need to happen.
What if it's a senior? A senior can't get out there. and
That's
help
exactly
themselves.
why I need to know is
Right?
because we are,
We can help them.
we have to identify these people that need the help, that want the help, that don't know where to ask for the help. And then get the help to them, either do it ourselves, find people who can do it. So in order for us to do this, it is not a witch hunt, though. I don't want to hear anybody publicly shaming anybody.
Mhm.
I don't, and you know, I try to keep that down on the pages. I really do. And sometimes that gets away from me. I don't,
It's hard for me. I'm snarky.
I
It's just
don't
part of the
like when
person.
anybody calls
It's just-
anybody out in a negative way. I think it's wrong. I think
love
it's
to see that.
unproductive. So if you see somebody's yard that looks like
Yeah.
they need something, or you think we could maybe, start in some of these places that might be very overwhelming. And that's the other thing is sometimes things just get away from somebody, and when they look at it, they're overwhelmed and they don't even know where to start. And maybe it's just a matter of helping them start and they can pick up.
Sometimes it's overwhelming. It's like it accumulates and then you just look at it. and you're like,
Exactly,
what do we end
exactly.
up
And
Where
with?
do I start?
no
Right.
judgment, that's what I'm gonna say right now is no judgment, because it doesn't take long for some of this stuff to happen, especially if there's an injury, an illness, or anything that we don't have any information on, nor do we need it. But let's start with that. And, I also want to thank everybody because it took a while for us to get people to like kind of wake up and come into this. And like you were to the meetings we had meetings at the tennis courts, and I think there was 6 people who showed up, 7 people who showed up. You guys were 2 of
I
them.
walked the park with stacks of papers
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
information
and
wanting people just to make the phone call. to get
and
this
that was just
on
about legislation. That wasn't
Legislative.
even about
Our
our
park.
park.
They
and
slammed
now-
the door in my face.
I think it's rough when you start talking politics to people. It's rough when,
And this
like I
doesn't-
said to you about that larger association that came in, they don't know who they are. I think I'm trying to stay positive, so I'm thinking positively and putting the good juju out before we start this. That if it's us, just us, without pamphlets from whoever, and it's us with me and a little notepad, just going, what can I do to help you? I'm your neighbor and I live over here at 4 Long Meadow. Like, we're trying to start something with us, really explain that part. I think people are gonna be, I hope they're gonna be. more
I
excited.
hope they are too, but they also think that, we're out here, we're trying to start trouble. One of the big concerns when we all fought to have the water tested was no one bothered to tell anybody that if the water came back bad, they could have condemned us.
Like
We would've
condemn
all
the
lost.
system, yes.
We could have all lost our homes.
Well, that wouldn't
That
happen
info
right
wasn't
away.
put
So
out to
don't,
people.
we can't put the fear of
Well, I
that.
think
It would take
some
a
type
little
of
bit of.
FEMA, something would have, within New York State would have helped
Absolutely.
us
I
to
would've
relocate
hoped-
us at least temporarily until there was.
Or
a
get
fix
us,
that was
get
made.
us some sort of reserves.
Right.
I would hope, but I don't count
Well,
on our
just because of-
government.
The one benefit is that our park is fucking huge.
It is.
It is huge.
It's one of the reasons I chose the park was because I looked at a lot of houses and I'll be honest. A lot of these other parks. You don't have the room we have to live in. You just don't.
That, and you can't, it's a lot easier to push around 8 to 20 people that live in one small park versus 200 people.
Well, you talk about people being afraid and being afraid of retaliation. And first of all, I have to say, for as many things as I've stirred in this park, I mean, I am the pot stirrer.
She's like, I should have been
All
kicked out
time.
10 years ago.
I should have been kicked out. I mean, we've talked about this before, and it's not, I mean, really, it's one of those things that I have done so much that they could be mad about, but my thing is, it's about the people and it's about what's right, and I will keep pushing, so. There's safety in numbers, and the more of us that join, the better off we are. And like, I've stood alone many times for anybody in this park, and I don't care, I'll do it again. But if we all band together and we all start to get ourselves joined into this whole thing and make the difference that we need to make, I think that the safety in numbers should outweigh any fear anybody has. But again, if you have any issues and you're afraid to go to somebody or whatever, please contact me. I will always help out wherever I can. And
I do have a neighbor that really will, for the Saratoga stuff, fit into that
okay,
and really could probably use it,
okay,
alright?
awesome.
And I will give you his name privately,
Okay,
alright? Or their names,
I'm not gonna be able, like,
that way you can get them that link.
I would like to be able to have, you're talking about the rebuilding together. Okay, I'd like to be able to have like a webinar, and I will, whether I contact them or somebody else contacts them, but I'd like to be able to have that opportunity. So that if there are people that are not sure how to fill out the paperwork, because there's quite a bit. And you know, what they need or how to figure this out, maybe we can walk them through. That's the other thing, is if anybody has any idea of what kind of workshops we can do to help people help themselves. I don't have the time, and I wish I did, but I don't have the time to make all the phone calls and contact all of these people,
Okay.
and you know,
I have a question then,
sure,
okay? Rensselaer County has, you know, like, different programs like, Unity House, this, that, and the other. Does Malta or Saratoga County have their own programs like that? You gotta remember, I'm from,
right, and I honestly don't know, because
so how about I do some research on finding out if we have Unity House, things.
there's Catholic Charities that does a lot in our area. I'm not sure if they're,
They'll lead us to them, but they won't lead you to others.
Well, there's Unity House, there's Captains,
yeah, Captains is another.
and then there is,
There's already people going to take pictures, by the way. My broadcast ended for some reason, for
there's
whoever is
Catholic
watching.
charities all over the place, but Captains is a big one in the area, they do a lot. And then there's the rehab,
Do you want me to go around? I know we don't have that one.
is it rehab Sarah?
Do we have a senior, a senior place? Not necessarily Department of Aging, but like Troy has a senior, what's it called, where all the seniors go?
The senior center,
Yeah, and then they help them,
that's
here.
here.
they help them with their taxes, they help them.
There's a lot of
That's
services here,
Right here.
Okay,
in this
right here.
building.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright,
yeah, definitely, and there's
There's so
meals
much that
and
they do
there's
here.
events and all
It's
kinds of stuff,
Crazy.
yeah. And actually, you know, I was flipping through the center's little thing I posted online, and I don't remember, I don't know if it's just because I haven't wanted to do anything, but I don't remember receiving it. So when I was flipping through it, I was like surprised at all the things that this community center offers. So, you know, things to take advantage of. All right, there was something else that I wanted to say. Hang on one second, I'm thinking. I don't remember. I will
Michael
remember
Supernaut
later.
Wonders if. I don't know if he stated this correctly, but he wants a copy of the rights as homeowners that will help ease the tension.
That
Yeah,
is
I
on
think
his
that's-
lease.
Yeah, I think that's
I
what he
thought
was
that's on
talking
the
about,
lease,
like.
right?
Is that the rider?
When going like door to door to help ease the tensions of the people that you're trying to talk to, because that's when he had said that was during that conversation,
Okay.
so I think that's what he was relating it to.
Okay.
Okay, so if that's the case, I mean, we can, you know, print things out, but
Yeah,
it's out, everybody's got their lease riders, and that has to be attached to the lease. So, I mean, it really,
Everyone already has it.
right, it's just a matter of whether or not they can put their hands on it.
I could put my hands on my original lease all the way through.
Yeah,
Oh, I have all the same.
I have most of
I'm a
them.
paper hoarder of, I keep all the documents.
And the sad thing, she wanted to start doing it on email with me this year. I said, sorry, my phone, I can't sign it. You're gonna have to give me a hard copy.
Well, it's illegal for them to make you sign.
Oh, they wanted.
You
a
wanted us to do it
DocuSign?
on, oh yeah, because I'm,
Yeah,
I've been fighting.
okay.
over the
No,
trees.
no,
Thank
we have
you.
a paper person.
Just so y'all know, I think I'm still on Zoom, and
Yeah.
this is something that needs to be said in the group as well again. The pet fees, the credit premiums, those are not legal. DHCR actually told somebody else. And another person who is not in our park, who asked for me. They're not legal. You need to complain to the DHCR with a complaint form and send it to the Attorney General. I would actually, on the complaint form, I would ask for a forensic audit. I mean, seriously, I think their books should be audited.
Not only just that, I actually spoke to them today about the pet rent situation, and they were trying to almost, no, they were definitely not almost, they were definitely trying to insinuate that I was not owed any back money because I had signed the agreement to pay that amount. That's BS, that's not real life. If they put something illegal in a contract, they can't go, oh, well, he signed it. That's not how that
Null and
works.
void.
Right, that's not how that works. So don't let, if you try to say something to them, don't let them intimidate you. If you want
Correct.
backup. I'm Heather Starr. It's really Murphy, but I'll help you. And I'm gonna be looking for volunteers. So if you want to volunteer for a section, I'll make a post later that everybody could see and with the map, and I'll be looking for volunteers for the sections. At minimum 4, more would be great. Thanks.
Okay, and so you want to definitely bring that up. Sarah definitely said to me when she told me about the pet fee thing, was that they are not going to refund people, and that is not legal. So
That's theft of money.
it will be the same thing, I'm sure, for the people with credit premiums. And it is your money, fight for it, don't be afraid, it is absolutely
They also
your
need
money.
interest on that money, by the way.
Yes, and you know, that there's a whole bunch of other.
There's
things.
like hidden fees too, because if you had late fees, so then they charge you like the late fee, but the late fee is indicative of like how much you actually owe, so it's bullshit, they owe you money.
Yes, and be careful because they can't charge late fees on anything other than your rent. So really, the thing is to read the lease riders. If you don't understand it, I put the little Facebook Live thing and tried to explain it. Ask questions there if you have any questions on what it is. And I really think that this is probably the end of our meeting because I am tired and it's been a long week and it's hot in here.
I'm gonna finish my water before the.
So-
down too.
Well, thank you very much, everyone. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. It was wonderful meeting the faces that I've never seen before. And I look
Spread the
forward
word to your
working with
neighbors.
you Guys,
And if you need
Absolutely.
anything from me, please reach out.
yeah,
Reach
reach out. And if
And if I don't have the answer,
We'll
I
figure it
pretty
out.
much
We'll
know
try
where
and
to
find
go
it.
to find it.
Yeah,
And I always take questions from people and I don't have any problem. Private message me, anything. I have gone through people's ledgers. I have helped people with their lease information. I have done a lot of things for people. And I have absolutely zero problem helping anybody. So please don't be afraid to reach out with any questions or anything else. I think we're good.
all right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you all.